Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. Potential impacts for the next few days are shown here. We have a few things going on. There's a low pressure center that's going to be moving across the northern Great Basin today and into tomorrow that's going to bring some wind to the southern parts of the Great Basin, including eastern Nevada and southwest Utah. And then it's also going to bring some increased thunderstorm activity to the north. So we have some um, expectation of some mixed wet dry thunderstorms mainly over like western Idaho and parts of the northern Utah mountains today. And then in the overnight hours, as that low continues to move through, we'll see the storms moving into eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. And then by Friday, winds should be lightening up and storms should be out of the area. Yesterday was a quiet day. Overnight, we have had some storms move into the central Idaho mountains there with a little bit of precip associated with those storms. And yesterday we had 7 new fires for 1,800 acres. Almost all that acreage was on this fire in far northeast Nevada. And then our large fire growth was just under 500 acres. The precipitation percent of normal for the past 14 days shows it's been a couple of pretty dry weeks over much of Nevada and Utah. Idaho has seen some recent precipitation last week, as well as far southern Nevada. Otherwise, it's been very dry across the central portions of the area. ERCs continue to be somewhat lower across Idaho, again, after the impact of some of that precipitation, although the values are on the increase. And then we have across the central part of the Great Basin, central Nevada, and into northern and central Utah, where we have our highest ERCs. As those areas remained dry with the last round of precipitation, and it's been warm and dry recently as well. Closer look at some of these areas in the Jarbidge where we saw that larger fire pop up yesterday. The ERCs aren't that high, but still the drier, heavier fuels with the wind really carried that fire yesterday afternoon. And then further south in southern Nevada, we can see those values have rebounded quickly from the precipitation last week and are back up to near the 90th percentile. This morning satellite imagery showing that low pressure system over northern California this morning. It's going to continue to trek northeastward across northern Nevada and into Idaho and western Wyoming throughout the day today and into tomorrow. So for today, we do have some high risk on the map. Two different impacts here across southwest Idaho. We do have high risk for lightning as that low pressure system is going to be moving through the area later today into the evening hours. And then we have high risk for wind over southern Nevada and southwest Utah with the increased winds out ahead of that low. So again, for wind this afternoon, looking for the strongest gusts over southern Nevada and southwest Utah, and then some gusty outflow winds over Idaho expected with any thunderstorms that develop. The precipitation for today is shown here on the right. Again, looking for the precip to kick off in Idaho throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours as that low tracks across to the north. There is some moisture in place over Utah, where we could see some isolated storms pop up, mainly over just the spine of the mountains here in central Utah. On Thursday, that low will quickly be moving off to the east by late in the day Thursday. We do have some high risk for lightning in eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. That really is for the overnight hours, Wednesday into Thursday, where we'll expect a continuation of those storms. On Thursday, the cool front will have moved through, so most of our winds are going to be post-frontal out of the north to northwest. Cooler temperatures are expected across much of the area, although we're just looking at maybe a 10-degree drop from today's very warm temperatures. So some breezier winds along the Snake River Plain and in parts of eastern Utah. Again, these are going to be post-frontal winds. And then the precip on Thursday is mostly in the early morning hours as that low continues to move through eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. On Friday, we will start to see that ridge of high pressure building back in, so expect clearing skies and lighter winds. So again, the afternoon wind gusts for Friday are shown here on the left, and we see those winds lightening up quite a bit. And minimum relative humidities will be low, single digits across our far southern valleys, otherwise a little bit higher across Idaho and western Wyoming as we start to dry out once again. 3-day precip totals are shown here, looking for the best chance of precipitation to come to the central Idaho mountains and western Wyoming associated with that low pressure system, and then maybe a few isolated storms in Utah. On Saturday, high pressure ridge continues to build into the area for warming and drying region-wide. And that trend continues into Sunday and Monday. As we head into the first part of next week, there's a chance we'll see some southerly moisture being drawn up into the southern Great Basin. So we may start to see some isolated storms popping up in the southern parts of the area beginning as early as Monday. And then we'll continue to see some of those storms on Tuesday as well. The 7-day totals showing, again, the short term, that precip up north, and then as we head into the first part of next week, we could see some storms returning to the southern part of the Great Basin, central Nevada and southern Utah. The extended forecast keeps the temperatures above normal for much of the Great Basin, but we do see a little bit of a stronger monsoonal signal coming back into the southern Great Basin. That concludes today's briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.